What's up, Steeler Nation? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I am your host, Jay Rudd, and this is Steelers Central. So there's a lot to go over, actually. I've decided to do some big talking points. So the first thing we're going to dive into, I want to talk a little bit about Mike Tomlin. And, of course, we all know how I feel. We all know how Mark feels about Mike. But I really would like to dive into why exactly I feel the way I feel. So when you look at Mike Tomlin's career as a head coach, take the regular season record out, take that, the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of the game. I think he's still 2 seasons off of, I think the Dallas Cowboys hold the record for most consecutive winning seasons. So he almost has that, to his credit, as the Steelers for him just alone. I know as the head coach he has the most successful consecutive seasons for a coach, but we also could be breaking the record for most regular winning seasons in the history of the NFL. But putting that aside, I want to take a little journey through what I believe to be the evidence that would support that Tomlin, as great as a name as you've heard for the last how many years, I don't see it where people go, oh, this guy has earned his stripes and, done everything correctly. Get ready for it. I mean, we're going to go through a series of seasons. I have here the starting lineups for this Steelers team, and I'm going to start in 2007 when he took over after Cowher. So this was the starting lineup for the season of 2007. Quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. Running back, Willie Parker. Fullback, Kerry Davis. Wide receiver, Santonio Holmes. Wide receiver, Hines Ward. Tight end, Heath Miller. Left tackle, Marvel Smith. Left guard, Alan Frank. Oh, God, I can't say his last name. I've never learned how to pronounce his name. But, yeah, the guy just went to the Hall of Fame. Center, Sean Mahan. Right guard, Kendall Simmons. Right tackle, Willie Cullen. Left defensive end, Aaron Smith. Nose tackle, Casey Hampton. Right defensive end, Brett Kiesel. And then you have Clark Hagans, James Ferrier, Larry Foote, and James Harrison all completing the line. Yeah, those were the fun years. They really were. Now, let me jump a little bit ahead, okay, to the 2011 season. This was the year after they had last been in a Super Bowl. So then they still had a 12-4 record. And again, this was primarily Kevin Colbert and Bill Cowher's guys. So when Tomlin took over, he had nothing but Cowher's guys. In 2011, this was like becoming his team as a head coach. Listen to these names. See if all of them are remotely familiar. Ben Roethlisberger was still the quarterback. We had a new running back in Rashad Mendenhall, a new wide receiver in Mike Wallace, but Hines Ward was still on the team. And then you had tight ends David Johnson and Heath Miller still. And left tackle, Max Starks. Left guard, Doug Legursky. Center, Marquise Pouncey. Right guard, Ramon Foster. Right tackle, Marcus Gilbert. And then you have left defensive end, Evander Hood. Nose tackle, Casey Hampton. Right defensive end, Brett Kiesel. And then you had Lamar Woodley, James Ferrier, Lawrence Timmons, and James Harrison making up the line. So it's about 50%, maybe a little under 50% of the original guys from Cowher's team that was still being competitive. Now we're going to jump all the way to 2017, which was the last year that the Steelers had a playoff win. Listen to these names. Quarterback was still Ben. Le'Veon Bell was the running back for those years. And then you have, of course, Antonio Brown as the starting wide receiver with Martavius Bryant backing him up. Then you had the tight ends of Jesse James and Vance McDonald, very much like those guys. Then you had left tackle Alejandro Villanueva. And then you had Ramon Foster at left guard, Marquise Pouncey center, David DeCastro right guard, and Chris Hubbard at right tackle. And then you had the defensive left end, which was Cam Hayward, and then nose tackle Javon Hargrave, and then Stephon Tuitt as your right defensive end, with Bud Dupree, Ryan Shazier, Vince Williams, and T.J. Watt, rookie, making up the line. It was basically a whole new team, basically. That's incredible to know that Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, guys like that were not on that team yet. So 6 years later, we had a whole different offense. And they had done amazing things up until that point. And that was the year they went 13-3. That was probably one of their best records in the last 10, 15 years. Now, this is where it really will start to make my point, where it's like, yes, you still had an inkling of, Colbert and Cowher's guys, just a little bit here and there, a little reminiscent. And now, 5 years after that, listen to this difference. The year after Ben retired, this was our starting lineup. Kenny Pickett, quarterback. Najee Harris, running back. Dante Johnson, wide receiver. George Pickens, wide receiver. Pat Freiermuth and Zach Gentry as our tight ends. And the offensive line was Dan Moore at left tackle. Left guard, Kevin Dotson. Center was Mason Cole. Right guard, James Daniels. And Chukwumura for right tackle. And then you had Larry Ogunjobi, left defensive end. Cam Hayward was the defensive tackle, and Montravius Adams was the nose tackle, with T.J. Watt, Devin Bush, Miles Jack, and Alex Highsmith making up the rest of the line. And then you had Levi Wallace, Cam Sutton, and Terrell Edmonds, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, that's a pretty darn good defense. I've always been impressed with that. But that was the year they went 9-8. That was the abysmal, slothing through the, going all through all the different scenarios, and we somehow managed to get into the playoffs and then just went away after the first round naturally. I mean, you listen to all of that, and you hear how things had transpired in the last 17 years of Mike Tomlin's career as head coach. And, I mean, listen, we've always been talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There, 6 of his 17 seasons of regular season wins have either been 500 or around. So I'm not simply saying that this team in particular, I mean, is going to be like the greatest thing ever. I mean, but we don't know yet. There is a very big possibility that this particular team, the 2025 Steelers, could very well be something special. All the names you're hearing, you're just missing one, like wide receiver 2 potentially. I mean, I think the defense is stacked. I think they are ready to go. So it's just really a question of, can the running game get going with the starting line? That is really up to them. But what my point is you just see what has all transpired in the last decade and a half. And as the Coward years have dwindled and gone out of retirement, Mike Tomlin has assembled teams that, I mean, these numbers, ever since the 2020 season when they had the COVID year, they've had just scratching, relevancy. So, I mean, these last 4 years have been pretty abysmal offensively. Their numbers are ranked either in the 15th, 20th, or 25th, even worse in a lot of categories when it comes to the offensive stuff. And defense, they've kind of shown their strengths. They have the names they have, but they haven't really produced really as effectively as since the 2017 when they won their last playoff game. I know that Mike Tomlin has always had success, but that is with association of the Steelers. The Steelers have always had success. I just feel as if Mike Tomlin has had the privilege of being a part of it. It's not, there's just so much that has not been proven to me in terms of what I look at as a head coach. I feel like you do have to have some form of like ability to develop on both sides in order for you to say you're a head coach. Yes, you can say Mike Tomlin is a great defensive mind. When it comes to the offense, he does not waste it. He doesn't waste any time with that stuff. So it's very obvious that this team is always going to have one side be more focused on than the other. But Omar Khan in the last year or two has assembled these very, very impressive names on the offense. And Arthur Smith has had to deal with, the cleanup of the Matt Canada years. Like it's going to be interesting to see how this team really becomes ready for the whole season. Like I'm very interested to see how everyone's going to play on it. I mean, you're talking about acquiring Aaron Rodgers, a 4-time MVP, for your quarterbacks for this season. I mean, this is just insane. This potentially has one of the craziest seasons. I mean, but let's move into then what I think is going to be a big topic, which is the preseason. Now, yeah, great showing last night. I mean, I got to say, it's nice to see that they had put up 31 points in a meaningless game against a very, very low-ranked team in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's not like their third strings are getting ready to make the team or anything. So knowing that they had the results they had, Skylar Thompson, like what was it, 130 yards or something like that with 3 touchdowns? And seeing that big one in the beginning with Mason connecting with Darnell, yeah, it was great. Of course, you can't really judge a whole lot on the run game because, again, that was the backups to the offensive line. However, again, this is technically the backups to Jacksonville. And the fact that he really couldn't get anything going, Caleb Johnson, I'm not saying it's panic already, but that definitely kind of makes you, make you wonder what exactly is it they're going to be worrying about. So I just feel like seeing the result you saw, like that was great. They needed to see those types of numbers, especially the 31 points. Seeing 31 points from the Steelers at any point in time, that's how sad it's been offensively. It's like, my goodness, how many times have you seen them score over 30 points in a game in the last 4 years? What, 5, 6 times tops? So, yeah, I get it. It's not meaning. There's no meaning to it. I mean, it's just a media thing. Like they want to get their games out. People want to watch any aspect of football, any environment of it. Like that's what they're going to do. So that's why they have these things, because people are just aching for football, and I am too. I very much am looking forward to this season. So it's getting closer and closer. We're about a month away. So with having said all that, let's move on to the games 9 through 12 preview. Bring this list up here. So the last game that we spoke of was, I believe, the Colts. And I'm predicting what the outcome is. And so far, I'm saying the prediction is we're going to be 7-1 through the first 8 games. So let's see if that changes anything through 9 through 12. So 9 through 12's schedule, we start with the Steelers at the Chargers, and I believe it is a Sunday night game. 8:20 sounds it. Yeah, the West Coast trips can sometimes be tough on them. And coming off of an emotional game like with the Colts, I feel like I did say they were going to win that game. And I feel as if after all those years of trying to beat this team, and they've had such close games, they may put all their stock into it. Not saying they won't focus on the Chargers, but I just feel like this is going to be a tough one for sure. Going all that way after that kind of a game, I'm going to predict that I'm going to say it's a loss. I feel like it's just too greedy to ask for all these wins. I think it's going to be a close game, but in the end, I think Justin Herbert and company find a way. And I'm not saying Najee will have a game on us, but they definitely have their work cut out for them. So, and we need to backpack just a little bit on knowing what we know about the Steelers' recent news. Knowing that Cam Hayward, an agent, feel like they have to reconstruct their contract, and as well does Chris Boswell. See, I will understand that one. That one completely makes sense to me that Chris Boswell wants a reconstruction. The dude has been pretty much the saving grace in terms of anything spectacular happening with the offense. Dude makes those kicks look like it's like elementary level stuff. He has been one of the best kickers in the NFL the last 2-3 seasons for certain. Like, I'm not saying that he has not always been Boz, but he has kind of been the best kicker in the NFL these last couple seasons. So it doesn't surprise me whatsoever that he wants to say, I'm going to kind of say I deserve something here, and he does. As far as Cam Hayward is concerned, I thought he already had that, but apparently that's not enough. It's remarkable how this guy is basically the beginning of the Tomlin era, the beginning of it all. And for years, the fan base has kind of looked to him as like one of the old school dudes that could go in the same locker room with guys like he had played with James Harrison and company. Like Troy was on the team when he was on the team. So, I mean, he has been around some of the elite, and he was, putting himself in that category where it's like, yeah, he was a part of like the last real dudes of Pittsburgh. Like, we always think of Cam Hayward as the guy. He is. Like, regardless of TJ Watt's legacy and, Highsmith or Fitzpatrick when he was big, Cam Hayward's always been Steelers. Like, he's been that dude. And to see a report like that, I mean, I'm not saying it breaks my heart, but I don't know. I feel as if getting the $13 million bonus, whatever, in March, and it's like now he wants to reconstruct the deal after getting that. It's a shame. I just don't get why this has to be a thing. Why, after all this time, when we finally have a lot of great things going, that there needs to be drama. I mean, can we just have one season where everyone comes in with a good attitude, with like the best intentions, not trying to do anything negative, not trying to cause any kind of like issues? Like, I just don't get it. I mean, Omar Khan is already doing some remarkable things as GM. I mean, speaking of Omar Khan, our dear Mark Lesko, he actually texted me, and he said, please feel free to use this on the show, and I will. He said he was going out of state, and he was in the same airport as Omar. He said he saw Omar Khan going into somewhere at the airport. Now, does that mean he's going down to Dallas to get Micah Parsons? Is he going to Washington, D.C. to go and acquire Terry McLaurin? I mean, he said he saw him at the airport. So it's one of those, I mean, could we be trying to get some negotiations going before the season? I mean, that was like a week and a half ago. But since there's no news, you don't know if you can say anything about it. But he saw. So he might be on somewhere trying to make the magic happen again. So just get ready. If it happens, that'd be pretty awesome. So got a little insight. But no, knowing that Cam Hayward is behaving in this manner, trying to prove something more, and it's just like, again, this all comes back to Tomlin, where it's like every player that has been a part of this man's legacy has had a lot of scrutiny, had a lot of poison. Like, I'm just so tired of the media circuses. I'm tired of, like, there has to be some sort of drama that is built with this team. Can't you just win the game? Can't you just go out and play the game? Why does there need to be a built-in storyline for the media? Why? Do they need that? Can we just play the game? I feel like that is what has been an issue for the past several years, is just the all nonsense that comes with the fluff and, all the off field, that doesn't have anything to do with the game. Like, can we just watch the game and enjoy the game and be done? Like, why do we need to have this other nonsense? I just want to talk stats. I just want to talk numbers. I just want to talk about the performances on the field. That's really what it should always be about. But the media just feels like entertainment needs to have some sort of stupid soap opera that they need to create. And this is another part of that. So I just only hope that these things get resolved before the season and we don't have to worry about it. But again, it's just something else. But meanwhile, let's get back to the preview. So then after that game, like I said, so it'll be a loss. So that means it'll be 7-2 so far through 9 games. They then come home to face the Bengals. It'll be the Bengals at the Steelers, November 16th. It'll be a 1 o'clock start. And I think that was the one game I said they were going to lose as well. So this game, they're going to come home, and I think they're going to get back on track, and they are going to win this game. It's going to be a big game again, but I feel like we're going to take care of business and beat them. So we split the season 1-1. So it makes it 8-2 on the season. And then we have the Steelers taking on the Bears. It's interesting. I just saw this stat. The Steelers have the worst record against that team or any other team in the entire NFL. Through the last 27 games they have played against the Bears, they are 8-19. I could not believe when I saw that. So seeing that it's going to be in Chicago, I mean, I know they're going to have not as much as we do. So I would like to think that this is going to be a win, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was a loss either. I'm going to call it a win. And I'm going to say it's going to be 9-2. And then we end this preview with basically the most important home game of the season. We are going to be hosting the Buffalo Bills at home on a 4:25 game. We're going to be in the NBC slot, or I forget if that's CBS or NBC, but it's like one of the two afternoon slots, which we rarely get. So it's like we're going to have a big game to watch in the middle of the afternoon. I want to say a win. I do. But it would be a huge statement if they were to pull it off. And again, with guys like Rodgers, if he's healthy by that point, I mean, we're talking, week 12 at this point? I mean, 41 years old, playing 12 games. I'd like to think that's going to start taking a toll. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a loss. I'm sorry to be a downer. I don't want to let's go optimistic but I'll be realistic, and I'm going to say it's a loss. And I'm going to say that at that point, that will be 9-3 on the season. So we're going 2-2 throughout these 4 games, and then so far I have it 9-3 in the season. It's already going to be a winning season for Tomlin again. That's what it's looking like as my prediction. So, yes, I want to apologize for not doing an episode last week. I was out of town. I did not make that announcement, so I was not available, and it was like the best. So I'm back. I'm going to be doing these every week, and by next week, we'll have the entire season predicted and previewed. So the following week after that, I'm going to be doing a big AFC North, Steelers. We already going to have my preview or prediction for what the record will be for the Steelers, but I'm going to kind of go deeper into the entire AFC, and then I'm going to focus on the AFC North and see where everybody stands. So that's going to be 2 weeks after this coming week after this. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I really am glad to be back. So it's almost here, guys. We are a month away from the NFL. It's going to be a great season, guys. Just keep getting excited, because that's what it's all about. When it's finally here, you get to enjoy it every freaking week, and I can't wait to be a part of it. So you guys have yourselves a good one. And until then, here we go, Steelers.